I don't see myself as a normal human being. I see myself as an eccentric, possibly flamboyant comedian who makes people laugh.
Well, it's always nerve-wracking because this will be the first time that an audience has actually watched the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's something I'm kind of nervous about myself. I actually was non-verbal as a small child, but I always had this dream of becoming an actor. It's what I've always wanted to do since early childhood.
Oh, this is the shot.
It's not about the fame, it's about the art. Fame just comes with acting.
I think I'm bathing in the reflected glory of Michael Theo.
Thanks.
Where Michael really struck a chord with people was when he was on Love on the Spectrum.
This room here is my bedroom, but I actually call it my quarters.
He was charismatic.
These are my love ducks.
His kind of honesty and his genuine pursuit of love, I think, captured the hearts and minds of the viewers.
What's your greatest dream in life?
To become a husband.
Now, he's a bit of a worldwide phenomenon in a lot of ways, and I thought, can he be in a scripted series? Does he have the chops?
Hey, Dizzy. Best hangover cure? Sardines on toast.
I think even Michael himself was surprised how much he took to it.
Simone, just because he plays guitar does not mean that you're in love with him.
This is someone who is experiencing the joy of getting to do something they thought they would never get to do, and seizing it with both hands and getting everything out of it that they possibly can.
Thank you, sir. When I was younger, I often felt inferior to my brother. While I was growing up, I just felt like that I wasn't good enough. In fact, I often compare myself to my brother. Something I probably shouldn't have done. I would often label him as a fresh cut of meat from God and myself as a double scoop of dog shit.
Comparing yourself to something to make light of yourself in such a derogatory way, it's never going to benefit you. It's gutting. I don't know why he would want to compare himself to dog shit.
It's been a hard road for him.
And for us.
And for us, but
Yeah,
imagine
for us,
what it's like to be him, having to make that journey.
I remember that when I was in primary school, I was off my own world all the time, which is something that I no longer do anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you acknowledge that and you can see it. That just shows how much you've developed.
He's worked so hard to get to where he is, to be who he is, and to be accepted.
I just have this strange ability to make people laugh without even trying. And yet, when I try to be funny, it doesn't work.
One of the things that I've said to Michael is that, you know, life is full of storms, but once the storm is over, there's nothing left but rainbows.
Yeah.
Hello, Mikey.
Michael was born in 1994.
He's a beautiful boy.
And he was my first child. And...
You okay? Yeah.
as anybody's first child, do you think that they're perfect? He was reaching all the milestones.
Michael, over here.
He was playful. He was very social.
Come on, get for a walk in your car.
Between the ages of about a year to a year and a half, we noticed that he was going backwards.
Oh, your dog.
You know, he went from talking to he's not talking, very frustrated all the time.
What are you watching?
Then he goes to preschool at age 3, and the preschool said, look, we see some differences between Michael and other children. And that's kind of how it all started.
He was a bit of a loner, didn't really like to socialise too much, and he used to get really upset in noisy environments.
Michael, come here, Mike.
When did we get over the denial stage, Tom?
We didn't know that he was on the spectrum. We just thought he was a bit unusual at the time.
What are you doing? Come here.
Michael was almost 8 years old when he was formally diagnosed with Asperger's. It's now called autism, but back then it was Asperger's. we were given information like he may never say I love you. The best you can expect would be personal hygiene. If he does that, that'll be a win. And I just thought, what kind of a life is that? So that's where I started to become quite determined that Michael was going to have better.
Mikey's heading for the video cabinet.
I was constantly off in my own world due to the fact that I was a boy on the autism spectrum. But Mum helped me break out of that and become more engaged in the world around me.
And I would say, OK, Mike, this is what we're doing. And I'll keep drawing him into what I'm doing and making him be in the here and now.
When I was a kid, I used to watch things like Looney Tunes, The Flintstones, Disney films.
Welcome to Yellowstone, Doc.
Michael wasn't speaking. Speech therapy wasn't working because he wasn't interested.
Meet George Jetson.
But I also noticed the way he reacted to animation. That I could see was going to be the medium to be able to tap into his language and get him talking.
The power of the Dragon Scroll is mine.
He'd be mesmerised by the cartoons on TV, and you could see the intense concentration on his face.
Life's not fair, is it? You see, I shall never be king.
And he'd virtually repeat line for line for 20 minutes straight, all these scenes.
Life's not fair, is it? You see, I shall never be king. And you shall never see the light of another day. Adieu.
And when I saw him do that, I just freaked out and went, holy smoke, this guy's cut out for this sort of stuff sometime in the future.
All right, so first time you've done animation, Michael?
Yep, this is my first time doing a voiceover for an animated character. So
exciting.
This is basically new to me.
Well, let's go in here and I'll show you the character that you're going to be playing.
Yeah, of course.
So he looks like a punk, but he's actually a very gentle, kind soul. And he works at the local shops.
Animation was more like an escape from reality for me. It's something that brought me a lot of joy, and it still does to this day.
Whenever you're ready. That sounds great. That sounds really good.
What we live in is one giant chaotic mess. And so by watching television, watching films, and practicing those voices and acting out the villainous characters, it prevents me from lashing out. Nobody ever gets harmed and nothing gets damaged. Mum once saw it as talking to myself, but it was anything but that. I actually was just practicing voices.
Let's give that a go. Thanks, Mike. We'll get 3 in a row.
You need more wet blankets. I would say that this is like a full circle moment. It's something that I've spent my whole life since childhood questing for. When I was 13, Mum finally told me that I have Asperger's. Because being a child, how can you possibly understand what Asperger's is? Or what autism is? Those nets weren't there back in my day.
He'd often sit alone at school, he would say, so he'd be on his own. So
He said, I feel like I'm invisible. I want to socialise, but people aren't socialising with me.
Mr. Wade, long time no see, sir.
Welcome.
A lot of the teachers were like parental figures. I was just a well-behaved student who always showed up.
I miss having you in my classes.
Yeah, those were some of the best times. But I was a bit of a grumpy student back in the day because I found everything at school to be very stressful. The homework, the exams, the assignments, and the immaturity of the students. It was just a lot for me to take on board, and I was just unable to handle it.
Do you miss school sometimes?
Not really.
No?
I wasn't really paid much attention to by a lot of the girls from high school. I could never understand or figure out why. Maybe it's because there were guys that were supposedly hotter, but we'll never know.
Okay, ready? 3, 2.
I first met Michael in high school.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
He was a bit old beyond his years. He was certainly different from the other kids. I mean, that was obvious. And he did always want a girlfriend, and that wasn't going to happen for him in high school the same way that it happens with other kids.
Hello.
Hi, Bree.
Hey, hi.
Good yourself?
It wasn't until after school that like our friendship really blossomed.
Likewise.
How are you going?
I'm going good. How about you?
Yeah. He's just got this very big heart and you can't not see it, you know, like he gives it to you if you show up for it.
So how's the world been going?
I actually went to a speed dating event on Tuesday night. Brianna told me that there are many kinds of love instead of just romantic love.
Did you meet anyone that you liked?
There was a couple, but I only got matched with one of them. She's like the best friend a man could hope for. She's basically like a soulmate to me, just not a romantic one.
We didn't know what the workforce would look like for Michael. With assistance from a recruiter, he was able to get work.
In 2014, I got the Certificate 3 in shop fitting and joinery. Some people might mishear it as shoplifting. Shoplifting is a crime, not a course. I was working in a kitchen manufacturer sanding doors every day.
Okay.
But I'm not going to go into that because that brings back bad memories.
He was unfortunately with an employer who had an employee that thought Michael needed fixing. But they tried to fix him by treating him like rubbish, actually.
He was bullied quite a bit.
Yes.
Quite a bit, and there was a lot of inappropriate language used, and he was belittled.
And that employer has got no idea the amount of damage that was done to Michael. When he left that job, he was very, very low. It was probably the lowest point in his life.
Yeah.
Last one.
Yeah.
Let's get out.
Michael's second job was in another kitchen manufacturer,
Give me a minute, I'll think of something.
and he was quite included and respected, and they took him under their wing and looked after him.
And he was happy.
And he was happy.
Hey, Quinn. Hey, Michael. How are you?
Good,
Just do
how
this
are
one
you?
for me.
Michael didn't do lots of like dating in his early 20s.
Let's go.
How about you?
Always good. Always good.
He really wanted love. He really wanted a wife.
Ready?
Yeah.
Set. Let's go.
How many reps?
10.
It's caused him a little bit of anguish. He always wanted to find somebody and couldn't understand why he couldn't find somebody.
Last one. Beautiful. Lock it in.
For some reason, people on the autism spectrum find it difficult to find love as well. In fact, dating is the hardest thing I've ever done. Even more so than working out.
You've got it. Last one.
That hurt him a little bit, that he couldn't figure out how to connect to people in the way that he wanted to. Or that, more than that, that people didn't know how to connect to him in the way that he wanted to connect.
You've got it. Keep that tempo. 4.
When Michael first said he was going to be on Love on the Spectrum, to be honest, it was great. But I didn't know it was going to be as big as it was.
Very good. Beautiful.
Yeah, so I'm the co-creator and director of Love on the Spectrum.
I want a job.
I'd been working on a series for ABC called Employable Me.
I'm an employable man.
And through that process of making a series about people with disabilities looking for employment, we'd met many, many individuals with autism. And a lot of them, to be honest, wanted to find love more than they wanted to find a job.
We sat together and talked about, well, could we make a love and relationship show that really explored how autistic people who haven't had love in their lives and really look at some of those stigmas around autism.
Hey, Michael, are you available next Saturday to come to Sydney to, go on a date with a girl who we've been chatting to?
I just couldn't give up this image that I had got from the very first Zoom interview that we'd done with Michael. Just the clouds that passed over his face of expression. There was something so unique that just completely grabbed me.
That's how this show works, is we say, are you available? Are you interested in going on a date with this person?
So with Michael, he was a 25-year-old man living with his parents, desperate to find love.
Excuse me a second, gentlemen.
When we were filming in his bedroom, he pulled out the plaque from his wardrobe and said, I've made this plaque for my future wife. When did you make this?
5 years ago.
Wow, you really want this, Michael?
Oh, yes, I do. It's the most important thing that I want to achieve.
He summed up everything that we wanted to say and achieve with this series.
Hello.
Hello.
You must be Jodie.
Yes, hello. Are you Michael?
Yes, I am.
I specialise in the area of supporting adults with disabilities in that really complex area of intimate adult relationships and sexuality.
I've been studying human behaviour for many years.
That's excellent, Michael. It can be very, very complex for autistic people. You know, being able to be vulnerable with somebody else, particularly if people have been bullied or isolated or have consistently felt very, very different.
One of my philosophies is never fall for a girl just because she's hot.
I think that's an excellent philosophy. So when I first met Michael, he was very determined that he was going to get married, he was going to meet his soulmate, this person who fit all of these categories that he had on a list.
Love at first sight is a symptom of lust, and lust is the opposite of love.
He hadn't even got to the first date and he was already planning the wedding.
A lot of people our age aren't interested in commitment, they're only interested in intercourse.
Yeah, look, it's true.
We were a little bit nervous to start off with because we've never had cameras and we're quite a private family. And, you know, once we got used to the cameras and all that sort of jazz and, you know, it was good. It was all for Michael.
Hey.
Hello, Amanda.
How are you?
Oh, please, allow me.
Thank you.
I'm more...
The date with Amanda at the restaurant in Wollongong was his first ever one-on-one date. And because Michael has a lot of kind of traditional views on what dating means and what you have to do to be a polite gentleman, he wanted a really formal dinner.
This is for you.
Oh, I love flowers.
I was pretty excited about it.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
But that ended before it even started.
This formality that Michael brought through his romantic persona ended up becoming quite overwhelming for Amanda, and she started to panic.
Would you like to take a break?
And I think it was a learning for Mike during that point.
I'll be back, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's not what everybody finds relaxing.
I think it's too formal. I can't do this.
His immediate thing was, are they okay? Have I done something wrong? You know, there's this archaic idea that autistic people don't have empathy, which is so far from the truth.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is series 2 of Love on the Spectrum.
So Michael didn't find love in series 1, but when we knew we were making a second series, we knew that the audience just wanted to keep following Michael's journeys.
You're a gentleman.
It's my pleasure.
Across 2 seasons of Love on the Spectrum, the world fell in love with Michael Theo.
Once it hit Netflix, Love on the Spectrum just exploded all over the globe and was translated into 7 languages, I think, and everybody who was in the show, it changed their lives when that happened, including Michael's.
Michael didn't find romantic love in series 2, but he found love from fans around Australia and around the world.
If I actually was dating somebody, she would be pretty much my most valuable and greatest treasure of all time.
Oh my God, I love him.
He's the cutest. It was lovely to see Michael be accepted. That's what I could see. It was that acceptance of Mike. And I know how much he wanted that. He was no longer invisible.
Being normal is lame. Why try to be like everybody else when you have the chance to stand out and be your unique self?
I decided that if everybody else in Australia and around the world sees me as this wonderful, great person, then maybe I need to start doing the same.
Would you go on another dating show? Like, I know that it was kind of a joke, but would you go on The Bachelor?
No. I'll explain why. It's because I've heard that the men are not really allowed to be themselves, and they're also hairless and chiseled, which I am not.
Now, Michael's got fans from all over the world, and hopefully he doesn't feel like a double scoop of dog shit anymore.
Before I was on television, I saw myself as a nobody from nowhere.
Michael was invited to do a TED Talk in Sydney and he blew me away.
Success wasn't what I expected. It's better.
It was a great moment for me to watch my son do what he did on stage.
My father told me that I touched a lot of other people's hearts.
I was not only surprised by people's reactions, but it gave me the confidence and the self-belief that I could follow my dreams from childhood, which is acting and performing.
I was so proud of him. I was literally in tears at the back of the room watching him.
I haven't given up the quest for love. I'm simply putting it aside for the time being.
Michael's been able to flourish how he's always wanted to flourish socially. But there's also this passion for wanting to enter the entertainment industry.
So Michael here, in episode 7, Austin discovers the falsehood of his father. I'm a film and television director and writer, and like everybody else, Michael really made an impact with me. And he was the first spark for the series called Austin. And that takes us into episode 8, which is where Austin has sent him on a cryptic DNA quest.
Darren was over in the UK, and he's an old friend of mine. And he gets his laptop out and he starts showing me scenes from Love on the Spectrum. And Michael completely draws me in, and I'm captivated by him, and I want to know more about him. I find him funny, I find him moving, I find him incredibly truthful. I said to Darren, do you think he could act? So then we just kind of started talking about, how would that work? What would the story be?
The great thing about that is it parallels exactly Michael's kind of relationship with his own mother.
And we started digging into Michael's experiences, asking about things that he'd been through. And in particular, there was a story about him being bullied at work, which we then developed into a story in the show.
So, Austin, any other plans for this morning?
I was going to pick up some more cheese.
Oh, good. We do need more cheese.
It was just obvious from that very first table read that it was like a duck to water, and people were laughing and he was finding his timing, and I was like, wow. I was nervous, but he was absolutely brilliant.
Let me just sign that for you quickly. What's your name?
Austin Hogan.
Austin is the centre of the show. It's about his journey of self-discovery and self-realisation.
I wanted to tell you something. I'm pretty sure that I'm your son.
Michael, naturally in real life, is very literal, very straight ahead.
I'm your son.
So he brings all of his natural, extraordinary traits and abilities to the character.
Is this meant to be an outtake?
Exactly, just behind the scenes.
Ah, cool.
What did you just say?
I said, it's almost like my mother is here.
I'm channeling Vanessa. He was so excited every day of the shoot to be on a set, getting to act with actors.
And action.
He loved it, and he was learning. I could see him learning every day from everyone around him. Is that what you're wearing?
Is that what you're wearing?
He had a natural confidence. He wasn't overwhelmed.
Austin, how'd it go?
I don't want to talk about it.
What is that, because it didn't go how you'd hoped it might?
I can't answer that without talking about it. I'm going to my quarters.
Many people on the spectrum have to be very good actors to show the world that they've got this. He's had to be an actor his whole life. And he says that this is what I was born for.
Action.
Hello, Dad. This is Austin.
Austin, hi. I'm glad you're up. Wasn't sure it was too early.
I get up at 6:50. I'm currently ranking flags. I can't understand why everybody keeps asking me, were you nervous? Do you feel nervous? Because I don't have a reason to be nervous. Why should I? I actually enjoy being in front of the camera. It definitely felt like home.
When you're on set, sometimes you need to do things over and over and over and over again. And he had the persistence to do that. There were challenges, and he just kept rising to them.
The only thing that we have in common, Eric, is that we're both forklift drivers and are 60% water. When I first watched Austin, seeing myself on camera still felt a little bit weird, but all the feedback has been very positive. Everyone loves the show. My mum has seen it like 9 times.
It's an experience. Not that I got aroused or anything.
I did my best. That's all I can say. Hello, Jodie.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Michael and I now, we have maintained contact for 5 years, and we have a genuine, respectful friendship. So how are things going with you on the relationship front? Have you been dating or...?
I actually have had a few days with someone recently, but I'm not going to go into it because it's still early days. Let's just say I'm still putting myself out there. There's still a couple of things missing in life. A house and a woman to settle down with.
It's funny, sometimes we have a picture in our head of what we think our perfect partner's going to be. And then we have to change as we grow to go, actually, that picture doesn't exist. I have watched Mike become way more open and flexible and adaptive, and he still has a list, but it's not the list he originally had. He's definitely still seeking the love of his life. He hasn't given up.
What I most desire in a woman is a sharp, confident woman, but also has a lovely heart and comes from a loving family. Is that so much? I don't want her to be perfect. I just want her to be the right person for me. I'm a one-woman man, but I have no idea who she is or where she is. If I had my own place, things would be a lot easier. I'm at an age where I shouldn't be living with mum and dad at all. But unfortunately, I have no choice.
He'll get his house and he'll get his wife, and in his mind, he's at the stage where he thinks, you know what, I've got everything else I've wanted, I'm going to get that too.
I don't think Michael came on the scene going, I'm going to change things for neurodivergent people. I think that he took an opportunity to change it for himself, which fantastically has changed it for neurodiverse people.
And you do write very quickly.
The more himself he is, the more it's celebrated.
You just seem to know what others would want to learn more about.
And the conversation's changing around neurodiversity anyway, and all of a sudden there's more and more people who are saying, I'm neurodiverse.
Every workplace should have a space like that.
He kind of accidentally became the change, and it's changing as much for him as it is for anybody else.
Let's dig in, guys. Chips are coming, but let's dig in while it's hot.
Yep.
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit, people.
10 years ago, if you said to me that Michael was going to be famous and your family's going to be on TV, no. I would have said, are you kidding me?
It feels really weird to see you be well known because I'm protective of you.
We love that you're so well known because it's what you want.
It's been an amazing journey.
This is just the start.
And it's just the start of his journey.
Since you consider yourself a protective sister, what are your thoughts on the idea of me actually dating someone at the moment?
I'm happy about it. I'm glad it's working out. I hope to hear good news.
There's an 80% chance that there will be.
80?
80.
Do you like her?
Yeah, I do.
Romantically?
Yep. In fact, we've actually kissed several times.
Okay, well...
So we had his 30th not long ago. We're at a restaurant, invited his friends, family. And I sat back and I looked and I said, okay, this is inclusion and diversity at the table, because you had neurodiverse and you had neurotypical people all coming together. And I sat back and I said, waiter, get me a drink. Because it was just for me. I just said, wow, took a bloody long time to get there.
My top favourite Gilligan's Island characters would be Gilligan himself and the skipper. Marianne is like that girl next door kind, and there's no malice in her heart at all, and she's absolutely lovely. Women like her are very scarce these days. Why are people like her so hard to find?